Well, great day, everyone, and welcome to Spirit in Mind, where we discuss current affairs with faith and mental health perspectives. I'm Bishop Guy Robinson. I am so excited about being with you today. I want to encourage you to let someone know that it's time for Spirit in Mind. In fact, you can join us and be a part of our online or our live moment. Let someone know that they can turn to Praise 106 Baltimore Praise 106 and be a part of the Spirit in Mind experience. There, the other ways to get connected as well. And my co-host and colleague, Dr. Jonathan Shepard, will be sharing those with you in just a moment. In fact, he's ready to go right now. Dr. Shepard, how are you, sir?
I'm ready, Bishop. And hello, and to everyone who's out there. It is so good to hear and see how many of you all are visiting and listening to us. Bishop, I tell you, and this is not a lie, literally every week I'm hearing people who are watching, listening to our show. And I am so appreciative of the many listeners who are being blessed, who are hearing the show and making sure that they are tuning in on a daily basis or weekly basis, I should say. Some of them are listening weekly or even on a more frequent weekly basis. Going back to watch the shows because of the transitions that they're going through the series for the sticking to the series for the whole quarter. Amazing. And it's just amazing that when you're consistent, you will get something done. And I'm so glad that we are in like-minded spirit, myself and Bishop Robinson, that we want to be consistent in our programming. We want to be consistent in the amount of information that is distributed. We don't want to be too heavy, but we want to make sure it's the right portion to hit what needs to hit, and then we come back to make sure that we follow up so that we are good stewards of the knowledge that God has given unto us. Please tune in. We are excited about how you were able to get to us. Bishop Robinson is a pastor, well-renowned pastor, author, and a teacher over at Howard. I don't say Howard, Morgan State University. Lord, he will get me that way.
It's all good.
Morgan State, HBCU, and it's Hampton. That's what I was thinking of with an H. And he teaches at both Hampton and Morgan State. And they are so blessed to have him. We're blessed to have him in the city of Baltimore to make sure that we are filling up his church and filling up the different venues and where Bishop is preaching and even speaking at. You can go and look him up. CGR Ministries on Instagram, on Facebook, Bishop C. Guy Robinson. You can even go over to the church website, church located at 2100 West Baltimore Street. He'll do you some good. And then if you're in need of some direct care services, please let me know. I can help you with Maryland and the District of Columbia, where I serve in both of those areas. And if you're in need of direct care services, what is that, Dr. Shepard? If you're in need of a person for therapy, you're in need of medication management, any type of counseling, please hit me up. You can go to my website, drjonathanshepard.com, and we will gladly serve you and make sure that you are your needs are met. So drjonathanshepard.com. Thank you for everybody who's tuning in already. And I think Bishop, we're just about ready.
Absolutely. We're excited about it and grateful that you're with us. And listen, we want to encourage you to call in should that be your preference. In fact, several ways in which we can be interactive today. Of course, you can, if you're streaming with us or part of our streaming family, you can do that by engaging us online. We're looking at the chat line, looking at the engagement. Thank you for letting us know about that you're with us today. And so you can do that. You can also call in live right here at Praise 106 443 380 2803 as we get ready to continue our conversation on transitions. And Dr. Shepard said that we've been talking about this for a while, and I believe that it really is appropriate because we began talking about transitions really in the last quarter of this year. And now here we are in the last month of this year, about to go into a chronological transition. And what we're going into chronologically from the year 2023 to 2024 may be analogous to what some of us are going through spiritually. We are moving into new territory, moving into new seasons, and adjusting to those. And we're also releasing some things, releasing 2023 and entering into 2024. And that's symbolic, perhaps, of where you are. And if you'd like to share and be a part of our discussion, we welcome your insights and inquiries and questions, because it's all about us connecting to grow and improve together. We're better together. So, listen. Transition is a part of life. Just by way of intro, and we've been saying, Ecclesiastes 3 says that to everything there is a season. There's a time for every purpose under heaven. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, change is the only constant. The hymn writer Jenny Wilson said, time is filled with swift transition. And so change is a part of life. The important thing is that we learn how to cope with it in ways that are healthy and helpful. And part of the ways we do that, one of the ways in which we do that is by dialogue and engaging with each other and growing. And so we've been talking about various modes of transition, and Dr. Shepherd is going to take us further into our conversation today, and we'll see where this takes us.
Absolutely. And so thank you all again for being such diligent listeners. As we have been sharing on transitions, we've talked about how there's a need for a change in our defaults, a change in our company. And now we've been focusing on change of address. And we talk about change of address, you're really looking at the issues that come with moving into a new territory, moving into a new place. And if anyone is like me, I don't like to move. That is probably one of the worst things to ask me to do. But I like the end result of moving, but it's the process of moving, having to pack all the boxes, make sure that everything is stored correctly. And then when it comes to moving into the new place, unpacking. Sometimes even the unpacking can take longer than the packing, because you can live out of boxes. I've seen people live out of boxes for years.
Yeah.
And even though they're in the new place, they have never unpacked. That really, I hesitate because I can even feel that, because sometimes we find ourselves in new places, but we have never unpacked or never got settled into where the new place is.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people, Bishop, have wonderful houses on the outside, apartments, condos, but when you walk in, it's cluttered. It's cluttered because they never unpacked. And they have nice items within the boxes, but they just never took the time to set it up properly, put it in its place. And, I look at how so many things right now are occurring in today's society. I am in the process of setting up a new location within the District of Columbia with my new job. And as you know, many urban centers are struggling right now because of the pandemic. People have never returned back to their jobs. They're still working from home, but they're not working in the buildings. So the buildings look very nice on the outside, some wonderful buildings, some wonderful office spaces. But when you go inside, it's empty. Some of them are boxed up. Some of them literally have not been touched. Some of them since 2020, to be honest with you. And now some of the cities are experiencing financial burdens and losses because of the fact that people have not been able to transition into this new space where people don't want to go back into the office. I mention that because so many times we can find ourselves looking at good things on the outside, but inside it's abandoned. And as we're transitioning into this new year, and I find myself even transitioning to a new place and having to maintain properties in two different locations, it's an unfamiliar place and it's scary. And if I'm not planning, it can be draining and exhausting, not only me physically, but me financially, where if I'm not a good steward of what I need to do, it really could take me out. And I really think that even happens with some people as they go through transition. They find themselves excited about the transition, but they're nervous, they're fearful. It's a mindset thing where I've seen where people are wanting to go into transition, they accepted the new offer, but they still are hesitant. And if that's you, I feel you out there because I work through that. I struggle through that myself. I literally have to pray. I have to motivate myself that I can't stay stuck there. Yes, I know it may be unnerving that I may not be able to put my hand on everything that I want to happen at the certain time that I want it to happen, but it's part of the transition. So Bishop, I'm gonna just stop right there. But that's just kind of my initial feelings about the whole change of address and moving into an unfamiliar place and moving into a new place and not knowing where to go and then get in there and not being able to unpack. Yeah, Bishop, there's just some things that I struggle with.
Yeah, there's so much power in that to be repositioned but unpacked. That is so much, and I'm talking just on my own. I have a habit of that. Every time I travel, it takes me. I hate the unpacking process, and there's something to that because my mindset is still. I'm still where I've been. I'm still on the road,
right?
Even though I'm in, back where I am. And perhaps some of you can share ways in which you're going through transition. Dr. Shepherd's talking about his job, and in many ways we're talking about transition in ministry and transition in educational field in which I also work. And so perhaps you're going through some transitions, and we've talked about, because this is Spirit in Mind, we've talked about some biblical examples. We talked about how Israel was transitioned, really sometimes bringing out of Egypt to go into Canaan, which was a land of promise. But in between Egypt and Canaan is this vast place called the wilderness, this place that is uncomfortable, that is en route, that is not quite where I want to be yet, but leaving where I was. And so we talked about that, and perhaps some of you understand that season of where it is to be like, okay, I'm out of that and I'm believing for this, but I'm in transition right now. I'm not even I haven't even arrived to unpack. I still got baggage that I'm carrying from where I've been en route to where I'm going. And maybe that's where you are. We'd love to hear your insight or perspective, and also to know that you're not alone. We talked about Israel being there, but for today's broadcast, Dr. Shepherd, what came to mind for me was Abraham. And the Bible says in Hebrews, the Hebrews account of Abraham's experience in Genesis says that by faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to the place which he would receive as an inheritance. And he went out not knowing where he was going. And perhaps some of you can identify with that. Lord, where is this going? Where is this taking me? My home life has changed. And it doesn't mean that it's bad, because he's moving into his inheritance. But it still means that he has to leave some familiar things and some attachments and some things that were dear to him, some things that were meaningful, and places and people with whom he spent meaningful amounts of time. Not everything was bad. It's qualitative relationships, but now God is repositioning me, and I'm trying to figure out, where is this taking me? Where is this going? This is not knowing where he was going. And so that was just powerful to me, Dr. Shepherd, because sometimes even when we move to a place relationally or even geographically or physically, we still may not be sure where it's going. Where is this going in terms of my purpose and destiny? I know I heard God say that this was an opportunity. This was my inheritance. This was a promotion, even. So this is my inheritance, but I'm still trying to figure out, where is this going? If that's you, you're not in. That's where faith is so important, because he said faith was critical to him believing God. And I don't want to stay there too long, but verse 9 got me, Dr. Shepard. It says, by faith he dwelt in the land of promise, as in a foreign country. I'm in a strange place, but it's what God promised me. And he said, dwelling in tents, talking about not yet being packed. So a tent is a temporary place. So I'm in this strange place, and all I got, and we're not preaching today, but I think I just got some. I'm here with a tent and a promise. I got, that's all. I just changed states. I just relocated, and I know that God sent me here. I just, joined this church. I just became a member. I just started school this semester. I just got approved. I'm going in January. I'm excited, but I also don't really fully know where this is going. All I know is that God has opened up a door. If that's you, that's why the faith piece is so important. So, because fear will make us turn back. But faith will make us say, okay, all I got is a tent and a promise, but it's God's promise. And so even though I don't know where this is going in detail, I know it's going somewhere that's going to work for my good. That is a crucial mindset. Dr. Shepard.
Wow. I'm here with a tent and a promise.
Yes, indeed.
That definitely is a sermon title. And also a fact that Abraham was in a strange place, but also the place of promise. And I can almost feel, Bishop, as you were saying that. I can think about people entering into a university campus.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I stepped onto the campus that I went to undergrad at, and I was there. I was full of potential. I was excited to be there. And I was like, man, wow, I'm finally on my own. I was not living in my parents' home. I could come and go as I please. And I was just so excited to be in this new environment. It was a place of promise, but yet it was still a strange place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I felt very unsure. I didn't know the people I was going to meet. Even though I had picked out my classes, I picked out the dorm, I picked out the room and everything else that I was going to have, and even the different things I was going to bring with me into the dorm room. There was just so much uncertainty. And I remember just being, I literally, as you were talking, that whole image just came back to mind. And I'm sure people out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If it's not a college campus, it may be when you walk into your job for the first time, knowing that you have this office space, or knowing that you are going to be working at this site, and just the excitement, the exhilaration, if you would, but just the uncertainty, also what that involves. I also remember that, Bishop, when I came to the state of Maryland. When I came to the state of Maryland to do a fellowship, I did not know exactly how I was going to be able to pay all of my bills.
Mm-hmm.
My bills, my expenses was more than the income that was allotted to me for that fellowship. And I would never forget my dad, and I knew it was faith because my dad is an accountant. So if anybody out there knows my father, he counts up every single penny. And if it don't make sense, he says, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when he encouraged me and said, Jonathan, you should still do it. And I almost said, Lord, would you reveal the real Joe Shepard, who's my dad? And I said, this can't be. But it clicked in my mind that I needed to hear that from a person who had faith in me, my father, knowing that it was against typically what he would say. It was the Lord letting me know that this is a promise. It's a promise that I will be with you. I will keep you. And as you see, that was 14 some years ago. And as I'm sitting right here today, proud to say I was able to finish that fellowship. I was able to finish there without any unnecessary loans or added expenses. I'm thankful to God that even when I walked into the Hopkins University Hospital and walked into the state of Maryland, that the Lord gave me the confidence that I need. And I'll say this real quick, that confidence has to grow, honestly, because I didn't walk in just with the confidence. That had to mature within me. And so as you walk into the new territory, there are going to be different tests. There's going to be different examples. So you have to stay in a good mindset. And that's where I want to focus. Stay in a good mindset, mentally. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself. to where you're not overdoing it, overwhelming yourself, setting boundaries as you walk into the new territory, to make sure that, because a lot of times when you're walking to a new place, you just take on everything that they give you. Oh yeah, I'm excited. I do this. I want to do this. I want to do that. But no, you got to make sure that you are setting up boundaries, taking care of yourself, making sure that it's in line with the promise that God gave you. Because it is possible to still work in a foreign land, in the land of promise, and then you're not doing things that actually are in line with the promise that God gave you. And that's sometimes where you can get distracted, get deterred. And I know that for myself, because sometimes it feels like, man, I could have gone or been finished, accomplished with something much sooner. But we're not here to focus on that today, because there are certain tests, incidents that really do prove us. And I'm thankful to God for that. So, Bishop, thank you. Thank you. A tent and a promise.
A tent and a promise. Tent's the bare minimum resources. Oh my goodness, to survive in this environment. Oh my goodness. Listen, we're talking about going through transitions, and you said something that was so powerful. Thank you, Dr. Shepard, for bringing up the piece about going to school, because my testimony is it amazes me sometimes when I walk on the campuses where I'm privileged to serve as an instructor, that I once dropped out. Wow. and dropped out, but came back finished. And when I finished, I was at an older age. Wow. And then just kept on going from there. So I want to talk to somebody who has this testimony, who's going, and we only got about 4 minutes left, but I want to talk to somebody who's going through transitions, and you saying, I'm too old to be going through these transitions. Saying, I can't believe I'm being uprooted at this stage of my life. The changes are happening at this stage. I'm old and set in my ways. I want to stay in Hebrews 11, because it says, by faith, Sarah herself also received strength to conceive seed, and she bore a child when she was past the age. I want to talk to anybody who's saying, why is this being birthed in me in this season of my life? These transitions, God has chosen to birth something in you, a new business, to go back to school. Maybe you got that testimony like me. You're going back in your older age. You've raised your children, and now this impressed upon you. It's something in you. The baby, if you will, is kicking to go back and pick up your career that you put to the side so that you could raise your family. It's not too late. The enemy will speak to you when you're in a strange place. You're on a college campus now, in your older years, with people who could really are the ages children you've raised. It's not too late. It's not too late. You're in the same classroom, but your wisdom that you bring, the transition, you're conceiving seeds. And so I just wanted to encourage somebody today who is like, you thought that the time was past, but God has said, no, it's not too late. Pick up that vision. Pick up that thing that failed. Pick up the thing that you thought you wouldn't be able to. You were getting used to I'm just not going to ever achieve that. And then God says, yes, you can. I'm putting that seed in you now. And if you got the faith, it'll give you strength to conceive what I put in you, even in a season that you think is too old to be going through all these changes. I just wanted to encourage somebody today. We all got different stories and different ways in which the challenges come, but that's why Spirit and Mind exists, to let you know that there's help and there's hope. And the spirit part is our help comes from the Lord, who sometimes, if you will, impregnates us in latter seasons of our lives. You're pregnant with a promise, because you said you got a tent and a promise. Right. And maybe your promise has come at an older age, but you can do it. It can get done, because if God is in it, it can come to pass. It will come to pass.
And look at this, Bishop. It just by chance, I'm wearing this sweatshirt that says, keep going.
Right, exactly.
Keep going. And the back of it has 100 reasons why to keep going, why to keep living. And so thank you, Bishop. I felt encouraged. You encouraged me just by saying what you said, because many people do believe that they have missed their mark. They've missed a time frame for when things are to happen. And that's how we are as people. We're very regimented, and if it don't happen by this date, then it's not going to happen. Well, we're letting you know that is not the case. We want to make sure that you stay encouraged during this part of your life. And I'm so thankful. I'm looking at all these different comments that people are sharing. And thank you for sharing your comments. Thank you for listening. This has been encouraging to me. Please always remember you can reach out to us, 443-380-2803. And we would love to hear how you are being encouraged by this show when we are on live. Continue to reach out to us on our social media pages. Let us hear the testimonies. Let us hear about what things you have been asking God for. Let us hear about the promotions. There have been so many different promotions and different accolades and accomplishments that people are able to achieve. And so that's what we want to encourage people, that as you go into the new place, we're excited about the announcement, but let's walk in with that promise, walk in with confidence, and knowing that even as you're walking in and you're journeying into that new land, that there are tests, there are various incidents that will occur, but we got you. You know, here at Spirit of Mind, we got you. We're here to encourage you. We're here to build you up mentally. We're here to build you up spiritually. I should really say spiritually and then mentally. But we want to make sure that we got both of those areas for you. I have definitely been encouraged today, Bishop. I don't want to say anymore. This has been awesome.
Thank you. We're going to close with that verse. By faith, Sarah herself also received strength to conceive seed, and she bore a child when she was past the age. It's past season in the natural, but not in the supernatural. Here's why, and I'm closing, because she judged him faithful who had promised. There's a mindset for success in any season of transition you're going through. And we'll talk about that and some more things next time on Spirit in Mind. We look forward to seeing you next time on Spirit in Mind.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at Spirit in Mind, and we're also on Instagram at Spirit in Mind Live. Join us next time for a new episode of Spirit in Mind. You know you're listening to Praise